So do we have any visitors here for the first or second time that are brave enough to just put up their hand? Yeah, would you just introduce yourself? I caught you mid-gulp. Well, thank you for checking us out. I hope you find a spiritual home here. Sure enough. Yes. And yes, hi. Well, great, good, thank you. And again, we have managed to find a spiritual home for ourselves here, and I hope you do too. So you're welcome. If you'll fill out, we have a little form in the back if you haven't received it. And if you give us your email address, we'll give you the announcements and we won't accost you further. If you want those announcements. Yeah, this service is being recorded and will be posted to our website. I'd like to thank Bill on sound and Tam on Zoom, and for being our tech help today. And now Susan will begin our service with a chalice light.
Can you hear me? Good. Let this be a chalice of hope and courage. We light it in loving remembrance of all those who reach out a helping hand to those in need, as well as those who have risked their own safety to speak out for what is right. Each act is important in its own way. May this light shine in our hearts long after it's extinguished and be a beacon of hope for this congregation in our search for peace and justice for all.
And now in your order of service, there's our congregational affirmation. And if you'd speak along with me in reading it together. Love is the spirit of this church and service its call. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Let's sing it once together. We'll do it twice as a 7-part round,
Come, whoever you are, wander, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, whoever you are. Come, whoever you are. Wander, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, whoever you are. Wander, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Thank you, Ryan. And we have a couple of young people upstairs that, if they'd like, they can come down for the time for all ages. This is for the young and the young at heart. And our Sunday service today, do you want to come on down? You're welcome to. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. But we're talking about courage today. And I've found a book by Bernard Weber, and he's got sort of little vignettes about courage. So we can go to the next slide. There are many kinds of courage. See an ice skater skating on ice would be one example. And next here, and there's awesome kinds of courage. So here we are at a trapeze, acrobats going on, oh my gosh, you know, letting go and grabbing hold and all sorts of neat activities. And next, there's everyday kinds of courage too. And here we have a little boy looking down, far down at a pool from the high dive. And next, and taking the leap. That takes courage. Still, courage is courage, no matter whatever kind it is. And here's a picture of a child, girl, I think, on the bike, being chased by her dog, and the training wheels are being held by her parents. This, we see a dog, and it's at night, and there's all kinds of sounds going on, creaks and groans in the middle of the night. And empathizing with the dog, courage is, it's your job to check out the night noises in the house. Courage is being the new kid on the block and saying flat out, "Hi, my name is Wayne. What's yours?" And every single one of us has been through these doors for the first time, sometime. And it's taken a little courage to put ourselves out there. Courage is not peeking at the last pages of your whodunit book to find out who did it. Courage is being the first to make up after an argument. Courage is deliberately stepping on the cracks in the sidewalk. And some of us in our faith journeys have stepped on cracks in order to get here. Courage is breaking bad habits. The dog chasing the cat. Courage is admiring, but not plucking. Courage is going to bed without a nightlight. And here's a climber on a mountain. And the mountaineer has a rope, so there's some safety just in case. Courage is if you knew where there were, and let me try that again. Courage is if you knew there were some mountains, you would definitely climb them. Courage is a blade of grass breaking through the icy snow. Courage is starting over. So here we have somebody that's crashed through a sandcastle and the constructor has patiently set it back up. Courage is holding on to your dream. And here, it's a little hard to see, but here's a boy in his bed and a dog and the dog, and courage is what we give to one another. And so would you link up with Holly here, and you can have some fun stuff to do if you want to come downstairs now.
This is the time in our Sunday service when we share the concerns and celebrations that are part of our personal lives. And I forgot to, are the stones not back there?
They're
It's not back there. Oh, well, we're going to have a imaginary stone that we're going to put in our blue bowl because I don't know where it is. And what we do is we use a stone to symbolize each sharing and place that stone in the bowl that represents the blessed community of love that is here at Namaqua. This ritual acknowledges that we join you in your concern or joy and offer comfort as well as celebration. After everyone is shared, I will lead all of you in an expression of love and caring, which Claire has, our ministerial intern, has taught us. And that is an expression of love from this small but mighty church. Is there anybody who has a birthday or an anniversary, first of all? No birthdays? We have somebody here.
Over here, over here.
This live.
Here we go.
Is there one there? Oh, hi, come on up. If you'll, I'm sorry. Oh,
Hi, I'm
sorry.
Larissa. I've got a couple of things. My birthday is this Saturday, coming Saturday. I'll be 29. And one more thing, for those of you who don't really know how I came to Namaqua, I am an alcoholic in recovery, and I got sober, and I was supposed to, kind of try to find myself and find a higher power or whatever. So that brought me here, and I've been coming ever since. And I wanted to share that this past Wednesday was 1 year sober for me. So
Thank you. What is your name? What's your name?
my name is Larissa.
Larissa?
Larissa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Larissa.
And our stones have magically appeared as well.
They have.
Anybody else with a birthday or anniversary?
This is Fran.
Does anyone have a joy or a sorrow that they would like to share?
I do. I'm on Zoom.
I'm Jennifer, and I just wanted to thank our community so much. I'd mentioned a couple weeks ago that our very pregnant daughter became ill with COVID. And so it's concerning when somebody's pregnant and gets COVID, but she made it past it. And now she just cannot wait to have that baby due at the end of the month.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else have a joy or sorrow?
This is Fran on Zoom.
My name's Rob, and I got a call yesterday that my great nephew was killed in a car accident up in Canada. And it hits myself and my sister both fairly hard because we have both lost a child. So unfortunately, we know too much of what this is like for my niece. So.
We are so sorry to hear about that. Thank you for sharing your presence with us. And we figuratively wrap our arms around you. I think there was someone in the back.
Janet?
Thank you. I'm sorry to be so happy after, I'm not happy about that. I'm Janet, and last week my youngest daughter took me to Denver to see The Who. And I don't know if I got to tell you how fantastic it was, but talk to you about it later. But it was so good. My eldest daughter didn't go because she had just started her new job. So in 2 weeks, I'm taking her to Las Vegas to see The Who. Because I can see them again before they die too. And meanwhile, next weekend, she's taking me to Canyon City to ride the train for a little murder mystery thingy. But yeah, next week for my birthday. And The Who is for her birthday because it's on November 5th, which is her birthday. So birthdays all around. And excitement. And what else was I going to tell you?
I have no idea.
Other than that, talk to me later. I'll come up with something.
Thank you, Janet. You do more fun things than I think I've ever done. Well,
Worse than that, they're gonna die. It's one of those things, this generation, what they call music, I don't hear most of the music you guys hear. But getting to 80s, 70s, 80s.
Fran, type it in the chat.
Those people are all old. And so they're gonna.
Trying to.
Okay.
I'm a fan too.
thank you, Janet. Anybody have
After you
a
type it,
celebration
just
or
say-
a
just
sorrow
enter.
they'd like to share?
after you've typed it, just enter and it will go.
I'm Vicky, and this past week I was fortunate enough to go back to my home state, Indiana, which I'm glad to be gone from, but but it's nice to go back to visit. And I participated in family tradition of making apple butter in a big old copper kettle over the wood fire, and it was just a great time with family. So it was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Vicki. That does sound like fun. Anybody else point?
Yeah, I'm Marion Leonard, and yesterday I saw my youngest granddaughter who just got back from Alaska, where she married her friend. And it's now she has to worry about going to Japan to live together with her 150-pound Newfoundland dog. So her life is exciting.
And thank you, Marianne. Appreciate it. Anybody else have a joy or sorrow?
Hi, I'm Brian. My wife and I have celebrated yesterday our 45th wedding anniversary. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, we close on our new home here in Loveland.
That's great. Anybody else?
People on Zoom.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
Kim is on Zoom and she says that Herbie, her 20-year-old cat, is on its way out of this life.
Oh,
Mim's cat is ill.
actually, Herbie is a part of our congregation, I believe. We've talked about him a lot. And Mim, we are so sorry.
We have Fran Green on Zoom.
Thank you.
She says, I also have a birthday on the 29th. I will be 79. On Friday, it's been a great day with my oldest grandchild, followed by a concert by Ryan. And then yesterday, we saw Brigadoon at the Loveland Opera. Today, we'll take a Zoom harmonica lesson.
She's one of the busiest people I know. Happy birthday. Happy 79 years young.
And that's to Fran Green. Yeah.
Fran Green, sorry. Anybody else? Yes, go ahead, Tam.
I am so fired up because I don't know if y'all saw the results from Georgia on the first day of open voting, early voting. In a general election, you get full participation pretty much, and then in a midterm, you only get 40%. So it's awesome. Last general election on opening, the first day of early voting, they had 120,000 people show up at the poll, and you usually get 40% less during a midterm, but their opening tally for early voting on their first day was 131,000 voters. So if you're not fired up, I'm fired up for you.
That's great.
Good at this. And now we're going to do something a little new. Oh, we've got one more. Okay, go ahead. I just still have one.
Cameron Stewart. You do, Doug. Our youngest granddaughter, Audrey, turns 4 this week.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. We thank you for sharing your joys and sorrows here in this crucible of caring people. And as Claire taught us, we will say, we see you, we hear you, and we care for you. With hope that your sadness is eased and that you find joy every day. You know, vulnerability is misunderstood by most people. In Western society, vulnerability is considered a weakness. In Buddhism, the vulnerability of all things is obvious because all things are connected. This sense of vulnerability is important to the development of compassion. In the Buddhist view, this compassion is the foundation for equanimity in relationships with other beings. A quote from Brené Brown from her podcast entitled "Courage is Born from Struggle" speaks to the nature of vulnerability. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's our greatest measure of courage. There are times in my life where I have been uncomfortable because I felt vulnerable. And sometimes that vulnerability was accompanied by outrage. One day, when I was about 10, I walked up to two of my best girlfriends, throwing a turtle back and forth, increasingly longer distances. To my horror, they were laughing as they dropped it several times on the sidewalk. I felt as if I were the turtle being tossed and dropped. I was appalled by their behavior, but I felt vulnerable and didn't have the courage to do what I knew was right. I cried and ran home. On reflection later, I wished I'd stopped them from torturing that poor creature. I regretted my behavior, but born from my vulnerability was the courage to act differently next time. This church has really helped me to find courage during times of vulnerability. I know I was fortunate to find a caring, empathetic community here where I can be my authentic self with friends who are like-minded and want to make a difference. I found a place to sing, recite poetry, and speak my piece. From this crucible of caring people, I found courage and a need to do more. I think when you feel vulnerable, you have a choice. One choice is to hide away from what upsets you. The other is to have the courage to make a difference in that situation. Today's world is indeed worrisome in so many ways. The pandemic has resulted in our becoming very leery about getting out in public and doing things, but not Janet. I know I hesitate to get involved canvassing for the election, which I've done in the past, but I also know that we must get involved in order to make change occur. This is a dilemma facing all of us. Once you've decided what you want to add, once you have decided that you want to add your piece of the puzzle, it's hard to take the next step. What process do we use to find our helping niche? We each have special passions and talents that can be matched to a unique need in the world. Yet it's important to remember to be realistic and sensitive to our unique limitations and know that we can only help as we are able. But doing what you can, no matter how small, is a piece of the puzzle we are trying to solve. So let's reach out and help someone in need. Give them a call, send them a note, bring a smile to their face. And if you feel you can help more, take on a project of some kind. As a matter of fact, I met Fran Green, who we just heard from not very long ago, a member here, when she and another friend, Carol Okeson, were helping the undocumented immigrants in Greeley in 2013 during the flood. We did a lot of good and became good friends in the process. I believe in taking small bites. Taking on too big a project for me is an exercise in frustration. So recently, I have decided to become more involved with the homeless situation here in Loveland. It's an issue that speaks to me because of experiences that I've had while living with my husband in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Steve was a great cook and loved to cook at the homeless shelter on a regular basis. I think all of us identify with different problems and feel an identity with possible solutions to that problem. I would like to challenge all of you to find a way of helping in some small way as a vehicle for regularly exhibiting the courage of commitment. Being vulnerable in life can be scary, but remember that being open, truthful, and vulnerable is a sign of courage. It will help you open up to others and yourself to create the change you need. I'd like to end with more words from Brené Brown. The willingness to show up changes us. It makes us a little braver each time. May it be so.
Thank you, Susan. Now is the time that we collect our offering. As part of walking our talk, half of this quarter's plate collections will be shared with a local nonprofit. And our social justice ministry has chosen the Rocky Mountain Planned Parenthood for this quarter. Please be generous as we listen to Ryan play No Longer Forward or Behind. And if you will, repeat after me as we bless our offering. We dedicate ourselves and these our offerings to the vision of this congregation, which is to radiate love, peace, and justice. As together we work to create beloved community. Thank you. I'd like to give you a reading here in a couple of minutes. And it's one of the most profound readings that I've come across. It's a couple paragraphs. The author is Viktor Frankl. And Viktor Frankl was a practicing psychiatrist in Vienna, Austria, when in 1942, he and his family were rounded up and sent to Nazi concentration camps. Frankl survived the war. His father, his brother, and his wife did not. While in the camps, he attempted to use his talents and skills as a psychiatrist to help those incarcerated, along with himself. After the war ended in 1945, he wrote a book in 9 days, which was to become a bestseller. Its title in English, Man's Search for Meaning. This was well before we better understood the need for gender inclusiveness in language. It is from his book that I found these 2 paragraphs and talking about his experience while he was incarcerated. When I mentioned this book to Laurel, our former minister, we're between ministers right now, sort of. We have an intern minister, but we're soon to have a full-time interim minister. Anyway, when I mentioned this book to our former minister, Laurel, she immediately talked about these 2 paragraphs. They'd stood out for her too. She knew the ones I was talking about. So here they are. Woe to the person who saw no more sense in his life, no aim, no purpose, and therefore no point in carrying on. The person was soon lost. The typical reply with which such a person rejected all encouraging arguments was, I have nothing to expect from life anymore. What sort of answer can one give to that? What was really needed was a fundamental change in our attitude towards life. We had to learn ourselves, and furthermore, we had to teach the despairing people that it did not really matter what we expected from life, but rather what life expected from us. We needed to stop asking about the meaning of life and instead think of ourselves as those who were being questioned by life, daily and hourly. Our answer must consist not in talk and meditation, but in right action and right conduct. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and opportunities, and to fulfill the tasks which it constantly sets before each individual. I've now had some years to reflect on these words, and I'd like to share with you a couple of understandings that I've come to gain around them. At first, his words seemed overwhelming to me. What does life expect from me? To think of life as offering questions to me daily and hourly, and perhaps in each moment, to respond to life's problems and opportunities. Was Frankl talking about a life calling? But no, he was talking about something that could be smaller, that could fit into my noticing daily or hourly or in the next moment. I thought of caring for a plant, a flower. Does it need watering? I realized in caring for a plant, In a way, I was heeding its call in a little way. And whenever we care, even in the smallest of ways, we are heeding life's call. The trick for me is to notice these calls when I might choose to care. Now, some of you care about cooking. I bet you have a sense of when the food on the stove is almost done or how much spice to add without measuring it. You're actually adding to life anytime you show care. It doesn't have to be big, this responding to life, I think. Realizing that was a relief to me after reading Frankl. Now, some calls can indeed take courage to heed. Maybe not calls to water the plants or cook food, but courage to try something new, dive off that high dive, go outside of the established norms, or stand up for others, or stand up for myself. The courage to heed the call. There's much more I could say about balancing attentions among all these callings, to choose when and how to care and how much to care and what might seem an ever-growing list. For now, I'll just say it seems to me to take a balance and to pay attention to the middle way. I'm still learning how to do this balance among callings and choose the middle way. But I want to draw our attention to another way life calls to us. In The Color Purple, author Alice Walker has the character Shud say, "I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. People think pleasing God is all God cares about, but any fool living in the world can see it always trying to please us back." Now, it's not that I expect life to give me color purples or sunsets or flowers, but I want to be open to beauty. And I'm realizing more and more that beauty can be available to me in many places if I just open myself to it. Let's see if we can tap into this. If you will, let's just pause and rest for a moment. If you like, close your eyes and take a deep breath in and let it out. Picture a time when you felt serene, when you felt calm, when you were taking in life's beauty. For me, it's sitting on a mountain ridge, looking out over the trees below and up into the mountains on the other side. Take another deep breath in and let it out. Are you gaining a picture? Or maybe it's a tree this autumn, its gold leaves brilliant in contrast to our blue sky. Another breath in and a breath out. A time when you felt serene, calm, expansive, and the beauty of life called to you to notice. And now, one last breath in and out, and return to the here and now. Life calls to us to care, yes, and it calls to us to appreciate. One last thought about the ways we can participate in life's calls. I'm part of life too. So are you. Just as a plant might show both its growth and its thirst for water, I can participate in life's call by being more transparent, more vulnerable when it's safe to do so. And then to be open to others' cares, I can be open to others' care, like being open to noticing the color purple. To be vulnerable takes courage and trust, and in this beloved community we intentionally gather to create, we can build the trust to be vulnerable together. For me, this is best done in small groups, which is why I like taking part in our adult enrichment activities. Others can find this too in our community building activities, like the open mic night that we just had last Friday night. Having a bit of courage to risk a bit of ourselves and finding ourselves appreciated, each of us can be open to be cared for by life too. Frankl's words opened me to heeding life's callings in at least 3 ways. First, to look for ways I can care, in small ways like watering a plant, and also in large ways that take real courage. Second, his words remind me to be open to the call of seeing life's beauty, the color purple, and to realize I can take a time out, take a deep breath, and relive seeing the golden trees against our brilliant blue sky. And third, I can have the courage to be vulnerable, to come as I am without pretense and be open to not only giving care, but receiving it. Because you and I are part of life's calling too. Anytime you care, anytime you take in the experience of being alive, anytime you let yourself be cared for, you are heeding life's call. May we have the courage to do so. And as you're willing and able, please rise and we'll sing number 168, One More Step. Time to extinguish our chalice. May we all find our courage born of vulnerability and heed our call. Here we extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Have a wonderful day. We've got a few announcements. And you can be seated. Let's see. We have some flag material in the back, just on the table. And this is one that I've done. Well, I will get it done. But we've already got some good examples. And we're going to make a prayer flag. And so when Reverend Dana Lightsey comes and joins us, her first day with us will be November 6th. She won't actually lead the service then, but we'll get to meet her. We'd like to have some prayer flags hanging around. So pick up a piece of fabric and draw stencil, put buttons on, whatever you know, be creative, whatever you'd like to do, and we'll create a prayer flags for us. And we need to, we want to turn these in next week so we can set it up for her arrival on the 6th. We're having a memorial service for Sally Blanchard. That's going to be a week from Tuesday at 6 p.m. here, and that's going to be led by our intern minister, Claire. And so all are welcome for that. So that's Tuesday next at 6 p.m. here. As Tam mentioned, our election season is upon us, as we all know, and an organization in which Namakwa is a member is Together Colorado. And they've taken a stance on two ballot proposals. Now, we as a 501c3 and they as a 501c3 can't promote a candidate, but we are allowed to promote policies. And so Together Colorado is recommending a no vote on Initiative 121, which is a tax cut that will help the wealthy and hurt the poor, is their belief. It would take funds away from education, transportation, parks, and so on. So that's a no vote on 121, and they're recommending a yes vote on Proposition GG, which is would provide more visibility in the ballot booklet on how measures like 121 affect the poor and affect the rich. So yes on GG, no on 121 is Together Colorado's recommendation. And you can see me or Tam if you'd like more information about that or Together Colorado. Next Sunday, we have a celebration of grief, celebrate Dia de los Muertos. This service is a special opportunity to move through our grief and celebrations of life together. Claire Hamor, our intern minister, and worship associates Leonard Sokolowski and Linda Lyons, and the choir will lead us in a service that honors our ancestors. So that's next Sunday. And that's it for announcements. Oh, Janet.
Notice that we can start a fundraiser for your favorite charity. And so I did it this year, and no lawyer or anything, but I want everybody to know that they can do this. I actually raised $200 for Planned Parenthood.
Good. So for those on Zoom, I'll try to repeat that. Facebook on your birthday allows you to start a collection, and you can direct that where you like. Are there any other announcements? Good. Thank you for coming today. Pick up your flag on the way out, and we'll see you over in the social hall.